Certainly. Here's a detailed and insightful note on Chapter 5 of the Bhagavad Gita, titled Karma Sannyasa Yoga, the Yoga of Renunciation of Action. This chapter explores the relationship between renunciation, sannyasa, and selfless action, karma yoga, and how both can lead to liberation when performed with the right understanding. Chapter 5, Karma Sannyasa Yoga, the Yoga of Renunciation of Action. Chapter 5 of the Bhagavad Gita addresses a fundamental spiritual dilemma. Is it better to renounce all action, or to perform action with detachment? This is the question with which Arjuna opens the chapter, seeking clarity from Lord Krishna. The chapter consists of 29 verses and brings together key ideas from the earlier chapters, aiming to harmonize the two major spiritual paths: renunciation, sannyasa, and disciplined action, karma yoga, and ultimately to reveal that both can lead to the same spiritual realization when practiced with wisdom. Renunciation versus action, which is superior? In the opening verses, Krishna answers Arjuna's question by saying that both karma sannyasa, renunciation of actions, and karma yoga, yoga of action, lead to liberation, moksha. However, he asserts that karma yoga is the superior path for most seekers. Renunciation and yoga of action both lead to the highest goal, but of the two, karma yoga is superior to renunciation of action. 5.2. Why? Because renunciation, without the maturity of mind and inner detachment, can lead to escapism or suppression of desires. In contrast, karma yoga, when performed selflessly and without attachment to the results, purifies the mind and gradually leads to the same inner renunciation and wisdom that sannyasa intends. True renunciation, inner detachment. Krishna redefines renunciation. He explains that the true sannyasi is not merely one who gives up external actions, but one who performs all duties without clinging to the fruits, without ego or selfish desire. Such a person acts as an instrument of the divine. He who neither hates nor desires, who is beyond dualities, is easily freed from bondage. This teaching is revolutionary. It tells us that we can live actively in the world, fulfilling our responsibilities, and yet remain inwardly free like a monk, as long as we cultivate non-attachment and equanimity. The wise see oneness in all beings. A central theme of this chapter is equality and non-duality. Krishna describes the vision of a jnani, knower of the self, a person who sees the divine self, Atman, equally in all beings. The wise see the same in a brahmana endowed with learning and humility, in a cow, an elephant, a dog, and even in a dog-eater, outcast. 5.18. Such a sage sees beyond physical and social distinctions, perceiving the unchanging essence in all forms. This spiritual vision of unity leads to peace and unconditional compassion. Liberation through knowledge and detachment. Krishna elaborates on how one can attain Brahman realization, union with the Supreme Reality, through detachment and equanimity. The person who is free from attachment, balanced in pleasure and pain, and focused inwardly, is fit for liberation. Those whose minds are established in equanimity, who are free from delusion and selfishness even while acting, are not bound by karma. 5.7. He introduces the idea of mental renunciation, acting without internal involvement. For such a person, there is no anxiety or pride, no craving or aversion. Their actions are pure and selfless, performed only as offerings to the divine. Inner peace and the path to Brahman. Krishna describes the peace that comes from inner purity and self-knowledge. This peace is not dependent on external circumstances, but arises from contentment, control of senses, and freedom from desire. The one who is unattached to external sense pleasures finds joy in the self. Such a person, united with Brahman, enjoys endless bliss. 5.21. He speaks of the yogi's life as one of joy, stillness, and inner clarity. By turning inward, meditating, and mastering the senses, one enters into the stillness of Brahman, where there is neither doing nor doer, only pure existence. Final vision. The bliss of liberation. The chapter ends on a profoundly uplifting note. Krishna describes the supreme goal as attaining Brahman, the eternal, pure, infinite consciousness. The one who realizes Brahman is free from anger and selfish desires, controls the mind and senses, knows themselves as the self in all beings, dwells in constant bliss. He who is happy within, who rejoices within, and who is illumined within, that yogi becomes Brahman and attains liberation. 5.24. Such a person is liberated while living, a jivanmukh free from fear, sorrow, and duality. They live in the world but are not of the world. Key themes of Chapter 5. 1. Harmony of paths. Both renunciation, sannyasa, and selfless action, karma yoga, can lead to liberation when practiced with wisdom, but karma yoga is more accessible and effective for most people. 2. Redefinition of renunciation. True renunciation is internal. It is not about leaving the world, but about letting go of attachment, ego, and craving. 3. Unity of all life. The vision of a wise person is one of oneness. They see the divine self in all beings, beyond caste, species, or social status. 4. Liberation through detachment and knowledge. By acting selflessly, with a calm mind and spiritual knowledge, one is not bound by karma and attains inner peace. 5. Brahman, the supreme state. The goal is realization of Brahman, the absolute truth. It is the state of eternal joy, stillness, and unity, free from all dualities. Conclusion. Chapter 5 of the Bhagavad Gita is a powerful integration of two seemingly different paths, renunciation and action. Krishna gently guides Arjuna, and us, to understand that living in the world without being bound by it is not only possible, but is the ideal path. Through knowledge, detachment, and devotion, we can perform all our duties and still attain the supreme freedom of the soul. This chapter sets the spiritual tone for deeper practices of meditation and inner absorption, which Krishna will unfold in Chapter 6, Jnana Yoga, the Yoga of Meditation.